Yo, what's up? We're back. BKFC show. Brian Socha hanging out with my main man, my twin brother from a different mother, as they say. Rob, we're hanging out. And I'm glad everybody's already been in the chat waiting. We're excited to talk to you. So much to get to tonight. I mean, tons today. It depends where you're watching. I know that we have a guy from Russia on, so I guess it's nighttime there, right?
Oh, man. Do we?
Yeah,
His shot's already getting angry.
That's good. There's so much to unpack with him. We're going to talk to Jeff Monson. He's been around the game for years. I mean, he's done everything. I know you're a big fan. You're pretty excited about that interview. That's coming up in just a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about all this other stuff, the trending topics in combat sports. So much happening. Jon Jones in trouble again with the law. You know, when I first...
This guy,
I don't know.
Can't get right, man. That's his new name. Can't get right.
That's right.
Can't get right.
And we're going to talk about him, Nick Diaz, Robby Lawyer, some stuff from that fight this weekend. A lot of people have a lot of opinions. Some were sad to see how the fight went down. Some were just like, it's opinions on that fight. We'll talk about that. Also, Anthony Joshua losing the title. We'll talk about that as well. Let's start with Jon Jones, though, before we get into all this. So, Jon Bones Jones. I had heard an interview with him years and years ago. He seemed like it was a radio interview, like a likable guy. And then I started reading about all the trouble he was having. And he doesn't seem as likable anymore. Now, his latest problem, I'll let you talk about that, Rob, and we can kind of break down what's going on in this guy's life.
Yeah, so apparently he was at Caesar's Palace. They get a telephone call. There's a disturbance, and they find his fiance, who has 3 of his children, blood on her face. They interview her. It just comes out that, was he hitting you? This is per the police report, that is. She said something like a little bit. So
a little bit's too much.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's back in it, and I guess he came out the other day and said that he's done with drinking. And Dana White said it's about 10 years too late for that statement.
Well,
and, I think I agree with that.
I agree with Dana, but I don't fully agree. He's done some damage, but if the guy's going to try to improve himself, it's never too late. I wish it would have happened earlier, but more power to him. We don't want to see any of the females getting hit. We don't want to see him getting in any more trouble. So if that's the truth, if that's what he's trying to do, I'm not saying kudos to him, but I'm saying for the people around him, it is 10 years too late, but is it ever too late if you're trying to get your life back on track? And who knows? We've seen it many times in sports, in life, in families. You get the crazy uncle or something, you know what I mean? That's a drunk. And then they get on the wagon, they're doing better, and they become different people. So, time's an interesting thing. Time's a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. I believe, is that Limp Bizkit or something?
I don't know. That was pretty smooth, man.
but
say you came up with it.
It's true. I did. Brian Socha original. It's true, though, because that's what's time's going to tell with him. And I hope he gets his life on track.
All right, quick question, easy question.
Sure.
Say, and I hate to be the guilty first public opinion.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
But you have to go historically on the person. So this isn't his first run-in with the law, second or third. He has a history of run-ins with the law. If he is found guilty, would you like to see him fight again? Should he? Maybe a better question is, should he fight again? If he's beating on a woman, that has been a very polarizing topic. Again, so many polarizing topics, but a very polarizing topic in combat sports, whether it's Floyd Mayweather coming into news for something very similar, or Jon Jones coming into the news, or Conor McGregor, punching some old man at a bar. At what point do you say enough is enough? And if that happened and you're working for a bank, you're working for a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 100 company, they would fire your ass in a heartbeat, in a blink of an eye. Are they treated differently because of their status? And do they get, maybe next time. We'll just keep giving these, these celebrities, these fighters, these influential people too much. And, there is truly no punishment. You keep giving them, time and time. Sure. Next time we'll punish them.
So my 3-year-old loves Lightning McQueen, right? In love with Lightning McQueen from Cars. I never knew who Lightning McQueen was. He's got a red Lightning McQueen hat, always wearing McQueen shirts. And when we punish him now, one of the things I do is that's the thing that means the most in the world to him because he's 3. So I say, I'm going to take away your Lightning McQueen hat and your Lightning McQueen toys if you don't stop. And he loses his mind because you're taking away something that's important to him. It's the same thing with Jon Jones. If you take that away from him, maybe he will learn where you're taking away his income. You're taking away the thing that defines him as a human. I mean, that's really is. This is his life. So I would say, yeah, maybe he would learn if you took away like a slap on the wrist if he's punished. But the other way you could look at it is, will people pay money to see this guy that beat a woman get beat up? That's business-wise. And right or wrong, that would make some people feel good. So there's all different ways of looking at it. I look at it as like a kid. You take away something that's important, maybe that'll help. It might be a good thing. It seems like it's stern now, but you're laying the groundwork to help the guy and he doesn't even know it. So that's the way I would look at it. And I thought you said it would be an easy question. Rob never asked the easy questions. I can't wait to see what you ask with Jeff Monson later today.
Oh, man.
Looking forward to that guy. But yeah, I guess that's Jon Jones in a nutshell, and we'll keep updated as you will too.
Can't get right, man.
Let's ask the chat. We always like to see what they think about, should Jon Jones fight again? Should he be penalized? Where do you stand on it? We'd love to know in the chat. I think Rob's got the chat in front of him. I always look at the chat afterwards when I rewatch. So I know we like to be left love too. Rob loves the thumbs up, right?
Yeah, Joe Miggs, I think he summarizes it best. If you're famous, you get treated differently by the law. It is what it is.
You do. And it's sad. That's why these people constantly they go back into drugs. They go back into the violence. That's what I'm saying. Take something away from the guy, and now he gets the long arm of the law, and now he gets his workplace too.
I just think everybody should be treated equally, whether you have $1 or $1 trillion in your pocket. Everyone should be treated the same. The fact that if you're a multimillionaire or if you're a famous celebrity, you can, excuse my language, you can fuck up 27,000 times, and people are still like, well, he made great records, or wow, he can shoot a basketball well, or wow, he can kick very well. But the person that swings a hammer, or a person that attends to computers, they mess up. It's send them off to the jail for the next 50 years.
Let me go one step further. Not only can they mess up that many times, but on the next time they mess up, if they decide to get it on the cover of People magazine or something, it's a best-selling article, and they're saying, "Oh, I am a sex addict. Oh, I did, and now I'm better." And then they get celebrated, which is cool because you want to see somebody be the best person they can be. But at the same time, should we be celebrating those people because they've made the mistakes? They're simply owning up to a mistake like a man or a woman would do, an adult. Why do we need to celebrate them for that?
Sure.
I mean, good on them. They got better, but we don't need to brag about it. They screwed up. They should be ashamed of that. I don't know.
Or just learn from it at the end of the day.
Be ashamed.
Good point.
It would shame me, and then I would learn from it because I'd never want it to happen again. That's me, but I'm speaking with a semi-sane mind.
And speaking of learn from it, Nick Diaz, Robby Lawyer, #2. Nick Diaz did not look like Nick Diaz. I watched that fight, Brian. I broke it down. He looked slow. He did not look like he trained that hard for this fight. And I believe that he came out with a couple of different, quotes. He does not like fighting. I don't think that's not surprising. He does not like fighting, but he thinks that's all he has. So that's why he's hopping back in. So I'm not sure if he's hurting for money. I know he's got some pretty successful schools. What was the purse? Do you know?
Schools. Does anyone know what the purse was?
I don't know what the payout was, but I'm sure it was a great payout. He's a great fighter. He's a legend. The dude is a legend. I thought Robby Lawyer looked great.
Yeah, well.
I thought he looked very, very, very good. I think Nick did hit him with some good shots. I think his conditioning, though, he's known for his superior conditioning. Him and his brother, they train triathlons. They're very active. Maybe take some time off, or maybe it's just the time off.
Why? Why so much time off between fights? Because he doesn't enjoy fighting?
He hasn't fought since 2015. Yeah. So from 2015 to 2021, that's 6-year layoff. That's going to hurt anybody.
He made $400,000.
$400,000. All right, that's a nice little amount. Lord Evan telling us that $400,000. So, I mean, excuse me, good payday. And again, it kind of, for me and what I was seeing online and what I felt, it was kind of sad to see that happen. A guy that, there's a great meme. I forget who put it up or I'd credit him. It was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when their baby turtles walking with Splinter, and Splinter was Diaz. And that was like you as a kid watching MMA. And then the turtles had grown up and Diaz was Splinter, now all disheveled and broken and older. And it just kind of it showed, I think, how a lot of fans thought. I don't think people were mad at him or disgusted with him. I think people kind of felt a little bad for him. That's where this guy has gone. And I think that we learned a lot from watching that. Let him cash in on his money. The guy's a legend. He's done so much. If he can get one more $400,000 payday, that might not be popular to say, but I'm going to say it. Good for him. And now he knows I'm done.
Yeah, and some people say that. Some people are arguing that he quit. I won't say that at all.
You don't think he quit?
No, I don't think he just threw in the red flag. Or white flag, excuse me. I think that Robby Lawyer hit him some really tremendous shots. He didn't want to go to the ground because if he does, it's game over. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Diaz's Jiu-Jitsu is second to none, best in the world. You go to the ground with him, it's curtains. And Lawyer didn't want to do that. He just wanted to stand up. And he was getting the better of the exchanges, and I think he broke his nose. It looked like it. Yeah. I hate to insinuate that, but, it looked like some clean blows caught him, and that's what ended the fight.
I've talked to more than one fighter, high-level fighters, obviously doing this gig. And I can't remember who said it, but I know I'm thinking of two guys did, but I don't want to misquote them. I believe they said something like, they've been fighting so long, you kind of know when you're in there, okay, if I wanted my career to continue, this could shave some time off my career, or I'm done, or I'm not going to embarrass myself by getting slept. I know it's coming. So I'd rather just kind of live to fight another day. That's a way of looking at it too. But I don't know if he's going to fight another day. I think he was living to collect a paycheck and go home to his loved ones.
I mean, he said it. He hates fighting. And that seems to be common amongst some of the prominent fighters.
Did he hate it always?
GSP said it as well. I hate fighting,
But
which is very
always.
strange. It's very strange to be a combat sport, you know, a mixed martial artist, a professional fighter. That is your job day in, day out, and truly hate what you do. At some point, you're just like, I don't want to do it.
But did they start hating it when they started, or they hated it as it went on? Do we have any? I'd love to know that, because they could hate it because they don't want to deal with the business of it. They just love fighting. Maybe they don't want to make the media obligations. Maybe they fight for a long time and they love it, and it's almost becomes like a torture for them, because that's what defines them now. Their bodies are beat as they get older, and they love it. It's like an abusive relationship. They love it so much, they keep coming back for it, but they keep getting banged around. So maybe that's it too. I'd love to know more about that. If anyone in the chat knows that, you were saying both guys, they hate fighting, but they're so good at it. They do it because they're good at it. Did they ever love it? I feel like a lot of fighters I talk to, I can't understand as a normal civilian how you would do a bare knuckle fight, perhaps. Like,
and maybe you grow to dislike it at some point. You don't like
Promoters,
hurting people. You don't like getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know what, my time has come. My time in combat sports is through. And in the beginning, there is a lot of love for it. There's a lot of passion for it. Like anything, though, you just grow, and you just grow in a different direction.
Yeah, I'd like to see. That's a great way of looking at it. I'd like to see if that's the case. I mean, maybe, again, we can figure that out. If you know in the chat, maybe you know something we don't know. Another thing we want to talk about, getting off this topic, was Anthony Joshua losing the title. Now, I didn't see the fight. Did you see it?
I did not. I didn't watch it fully. I watched some of the highlights. You know, he came out, and, you know, people were, Tyson Fury's going in on him as usual. That guy, man, they asked him a question, and within 6 seconds, he's already talking about Deontay Wilder, saying he's the best. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is a fight with Anthony Joshua and Fury now, which that was to be the super fight between those three gentlemen. Now you have, you know, Alexander being the undefeated champion.
Yeah, and I think
19-0.
If I can remember, and we were talking about this before we went on the air, I think Anthony Joshua's only lost twice. This one, and he lost a couple fights ago. It was I believe he lost a match, and he had a rematch and beat
Ruiz.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Come
it.
on.
Ruiz.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember off the top of my head. So, I mean, he doesn't have a bunch of losses. It's, you know, a loss is a loss. It's one. I don't think it's going to end his career.
No.
But it might put him on ice for a minute.
Well, that's one of the things I actually spoke. This was probably about a month ago, and I was having a long conversation with, you know, David Feldman, and I asked him, I said, why is it that primarily boxers, if you lose once, that's kind of your career, or lose twice, that was historically, you know, the thing. And it's, you know, they like padding fighters' records. So going into it's like, wow, those fighters 20-0 and
build them up
30-0, and it looks like it's a very strong person, but a lot of the wins aren't from competitive fighters on their level. It was just kind of gimmies, if you will.
Tomato cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you look at MMA and you look at combat sports in general as a whole, a lot of fighters do have losses. But those losses, they're competitive fights, and you love to see them fight again. And it really doesn't spell the end of their life, their end of their career, excuse me, that, hey, I've got a loss or two, or even 5 or 6. Some of the fighters are like, wow, win or lose, the fans win in the end, because they're such entertaining fighters. And that's what I like to see about, you know, bare knuckle fighting in combat sports.
Robby Lawyer has
I agree with that.
losses.
Robby Lawyer, like 15 losses. That's right, but people still want to see him. I mean, I'd still watch him, and he's still a name that people pay to see. And it's all about business at the end of the day.
Entertaining as hell, man.
There you go, and I think that's a huge part of it. And, you know, as long as the fans leave happy, and you haven't, what do they say, an ass every 18 inches, sell the place out. That's what you want, and they can do that. A guy that I know has been huge in combat sports. We've talked about this a couple times already. He's coming on in a couple minutes. Jeff Monson. He's in Russia. And
what a polarizing character this gentleman is.
So much to learn about him.
We've done some research on this, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, he is a decorated wrestler.
Yes.
He's a very intelligent person. I believe he has his degree in psychology. He was practicing in the field for 5 years.
Smart guy.
Yep. Then went into combat sports full time and never looked back.
Ask you a question. You're walking into a psychologist to get treated, right?
And it's that guy?
And Jeff's standing there, and you're like, wait a minute, where's the psychologist? And like, are you going to beat me into thinking what I need to think? I mean, that would be such an interesting, what's the word we're saying? Dichotomy? Is that the word? Of walking into, get treated by him and looking at him and then finding out what he does. He
never judge a book by its cover.
Straight
right?
up. He fixes people's heads for a living, then he punches people's heads for a living. It's pretty interesting how they do that.
Yeah. And born in America, now living in Russia.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
And very vocal and supportive of the Communist Party. So that is going to be
not shy about it.
Not shy at all. So I'm going to dive into that. And I
talk about that today.
Yeah, we asked the chat. Do you have any questions for him regarding that? His personal life, his political affiliations, his history in combat sports. And we'll let him speak to that.
Yeah, we love taking questions from the chat.
And today's interview is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be a toss-up. It's not going to be our normal back and forth with BKFC fighters. Let's get a little bit deep. Let's ask some hard questions and see what his stance is and if there's anything he wants the public to know about him and why he's chosen the life he has. And
yeah. So we should say it again. No questions off limits. Drop your questions in the chat. We'll gladly talk to you, and we'll try to get your questions answered as well. Looking forward to talking to this guy. Rob's got the chat right here in front of him too, so make sure you drop it in. Before we get to anything else, I have to do this really quick. Didn't even tell you I'm going to do this. So last week, Chris Sorrow, I mentioned him, and I said that he talked trash on Josh Burns' family, which I found out, and I'm retracting this because I spoke with Chris. He was very nice. He contacted me. That was the story that was being told. That's not the whole story. Apparently he posted something online and Josh's kids saw it. So I want to apologize to Chris Sorrow for that. He's worried that he has businesses and stuff. And when you're making it sound like he's talking trash on people's family, he was concerned by it. And like a man, he called me. He's very complimentary. He loves the show. He watches all the time. Appreciate that. And he just said, hey, I just want to talk to you, Brian. We talked and he's 100% right. So you're a good guy. Sorry about that, Chris.
Awesome.
Just wanted to address that.
Cleared the air.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Rather than calling and threatening me like I've had done before.
Yeah. No, so look, man, this is what it's considered. Yeah, this is considered true journalism. If you make a mistake, own up to the mistakes. If we do something wrong, we'll admit to it. We'll clear the air.
That's what you have to do.
So take notes, all you big, big corporate media outlets out there, and you know who you are because I'm looking at you. I'm pointing to you right now. But
all right. Well, listen. Before we go on with this, I know that we have Jeff in the waiting room.
All right.
You want to bring him in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get him on, man. I'm excited for this. In Russia, live on Satellite 5. There he is, man. Jeff Monson. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
No, we appreciate it. And a list of your accomplishments. You've done so much. You've fought all over the world. Rob and I were talking about this. What, Rob? UFC, Strikeforce. I know you're in Pride.
Dream, Pride, M1 Global. You name it. This guy has fought in every major fighting organization in history, basically.
You've done it all. You've had an amazing career, and we're going to unpack a lot of stuff about your life today. And I think the first part we start with, you were born in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I know that has wrestling roots there, and legendary Vern Gagne, you probably have heard of him. He's from there as well. And you were just such a great decorated college wrestler. Let's talk about the start of your life, growing up in St. Paul. What was your life like? Mom and dad, were they together? Let's talk about that.
My dad died when I was 2, and unfortunately in a work accident. And so my mom was single for a couple of years, and then remarried. And she married a military guy, and he's hard. He's a hard guy, and like he's what she needed though. Like dependable, dependable. And but he wasn't real lovey or good feelings kind of guy. So I grew up pretty harsh conditions at home, and so but it shaped who I was, and nothing was ever good enough. So I got into sport and tried to succeed in sport, and always trying to please the one person you couldn't please. So it was like one of those things. So and that really resonates even today, because now like everything I do is like never good enough for myself, no matter how, what I do or accolades or this or that, I'm always looking at what I didn't do, what I didn't win, how I didn't succeed and stuff. So, in one way it's good because I'll never let it go to my head, like success, but in another way it's bad because I can never like be happy really with those kind of things.
Well, when was the last, that has to be a mind game. I experience that on another level, a lot lower than you do, because you always want to be at your best. And I think that's normal, but that's got to be a mind game for you. When's the last time you remember actually enjoying some of your success? Do you remember a time where you've done that?
I mean, the first time I won Abu Dhabi, I was happy. I remember like because I mean in wrestling, you know, I went to the state, you know, wrestling in Washington State, and I didn't win. And then I went to college wrestler, and I was 2-time. You know, I was a Pac-10 champion. Went to nationals twice, and in my match to be an All-American, I lost. And then I went to the nationals a bunch of times, like the Olympic trials, the U.S. team trials. And I wasn't, because I was a full-time psychologist, had a family, so I wasn't necessarily wanting to be like thinking I was going to be on the, you know, the world team, but the top 6 are part of Team USA. So I always want to be like the top 6. I'd be like All-American, you know, for me, like what I did do in college. And 3 different times I lost my match to place. I won a bunch of matches. And man, this is with a family, working full-time as a psychologist, wow. Like you know, like working out with a local, like high school wrestlers. Well, these guys I was competing against were, you know, living at the Olympic Training Center and stuff. So it was difficult, but I just never had that achievement. So when I won the world championship, I don't know, I won the world championship, and I'm walking around in Dubai, walking around in the desert in my like shorts after the fight, like 2 minutes after the short, going, I can't believe it. I was like, I thought all my demons were gone. And then, you know, I flew home to Seattle, and by the time I got off the airplane, I was a mess again. I was like, man, next year everyone's going to be out for me. Like, they're really going to go for it. I got to train even harder. And like, so it's just, yeah, I don't think I can enjoy it really until maybe when it's all said and done, I can enjoy it.
Yeah, that's interesting too. And I know you said you had a a background in psychology, a psychologist. You were working hard, and that's what I'm thinking. I mean, you're saying you had this harsh upbringing. As a psychologist, you're probably almost trying to analyze yourself. That might make it even more confusing. And I wonder, did your stepfather or anybody ever shake your hand and say, "Good job, I'm proud of you," kind of thing, or that you never got that at all, ever, for anything?
I mean, my family, but you know, when your family does it, it's just like, well, they love you. They don't. If you lose, they're going to say the same thing.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
Man, not. I mean, it's got to come from within. You know, it's like one of those things. Like your family's going to love you. Your friends are going to like you no matter what, because that means they're real friends. Where they like you when you're like do well or don't do well. Those are your true friends. But you know, my team always supported me in that. But it's just one of those things where it's got to come from within. You got to be like happy from within, and it's hard. You know, in psychology, I analyze it, I understand what's going on, but it doesn't make you able to change it.
That's got to be more torturous, that you're able to understand what's going on and analyze it. I guess that could help, but that's got to be hard too. And I will say now, though, we're going back to Abu Dhabi. That's, Rob and I were talking about that before we went on the air. That's like the best of the best of the best of the best. So kudos to you for winning that. You should have been proud. And even if you only enjoyed it for a couple seconds, I'm glad you're able to.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. And I know there's a lot of other stuff we're going to get into too, Rob. I didn't mean to dominate here. I know you're excited to have my man on too. Please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you were kind of talking about it, Jeff. 2-time Abu Dhabi world champion, MMA record, mixed martial arts record, 62-26. We worked through your college life. How did you get into professional combat sports and turning that full-time from a person with a degree in psychology? You had a family. You get into combat sports full-time. How do you make that transition?
Well, I was, like I said, I was going to nationals every year for wrestling, and I just, you know, like I was getting to a point like it's not going to happen. And I was in Seattle, and then at this time, I remember going with some of the guys after work and watching Randy Couture beat Maurice Smith, who was also from Seattle, to win the UFC heavyweight title before it was like a big deal. And I was like, man, I wrestled with this guy in college, and Maurice Smith lives an hour away from me. And so I just started training, going up to a place called AMC with Matt Hume, who's like a wizard. And I just started like being with Josh Barnett, Dennis Hallman, Randy Couture, Matt Lindland, all these like guys who'd be superstars in the sport. And, you know, I found out that my wrestling was worked well doing that. And so, soon after I went to Abu Dhabi and I started doing a bunch of amateur fights. It's called pancration. It was like 1 5-minute round. And I was winning a bunch of them. And then I was lying to my wife. It's like, hey, I'm going to a wrestling tournament. And but I was fighting. I didn't tell her for like a year and a half because she would like freak out. So I did that. And then when I won Abu Dhabi, then I started going, man, I want to fight. I just had that. It opened up, the Pandora's box of, all that adrenaline and wanting to win and achieve and all this stuff. So from there, I just started getting some fights and traveling, and then a lot of good things happened from there.
What was your wife's reaction when she finally found out you've been doing this fighting for a year or more? How did she react?
I think I slept one night out in the car. Like when she first found out, she was really pissed off. And I think I was more pissed off I didn't tell her the truth, but she's always, but then she always supported me and stuff like that. And like soon after, maybe a year after, I just got super lucky. Met some guys from then it was the Silveria brothers, but they later became American Top Team, and they invited me to come teach the guys wrestling, and in return, I'd be part of the team and, be a fighter and stuff like that. And so we moved to Florida, brought the whole family, quit my job as a psychologist, and just, that's all I've done, for the last 20 years now.
So you moved, we're now in Florida with the family, full-time fighting. How did you get to Russia, and how, and I'll just say it right, we'll get right into it. How did you become a communist anarchist, and how did that evolution? Was that an overnight process? Was that ongoing? I mean, to hear an American that now lives in Russia that has a citizenship, is that correct? You have a visa with Russia?
No, I'm a citizen of Russia.
You're a citizen of Russia. Okay. How did that all come about?
Well, the Russia thing came. Well, first I want to say, like, when I came to Florida, I was part of America Top. We just started becoming America Top Team. It was crazy because I remember I fought Rico Rodriguez in UFC, and they trained me for this fight, and they only trained me like 2 weeks. We didn't have enough time to like do a real camp for them. So I came in, I got my ass kicked, and then I fought Abu Dhabi, and I lost. The first time I never placed in Abu Dhabi because I won and then taken second. And then I fought Forrest Griffin and lost. And then I tore my bicep and I was out for like 9 months. So I'm just thinking, these guys brought me down. They're giving me like a stipend just to live. And I lose. And now they have to cover me for my surgery for 9 months. So it was like, these guys believe, like we say, like, did everyone say good job, or like, you did a good, like these guys supported me, like even when, like, I still don't know. I mean, they must have believed in me, but either way, they supported me. But they were like the only ones because, I was done. And then later I fought in the UFC. I lost to Tim.
All right. Well, I don't know what's going on there. Hey, when it's live via Satellite 5 from Russia, you might have these kind of problems. I want to learn more. There's a lot more we can ask this. We're just getting the meat potatoes of that, and I'm very curious that question you asked. There's so many other things that we can get into with him as well that we're going to do. Hopefully we can get him back. I know the producers are working feverishly getting him back. But, I mean, so far, look, for what we're getting into, and I know that different people have different views, how he moved communist, CCP, Russia, and how he believes in that. I believe he's also was appointed. He had some kind of role where they appointed him like for outreach. I'd have to ask him about that. But I think it's interesting because if you didn't know, you're talking to this guy. He's a really wonderful guy. He seems very nice, very respectful. So I believe that we can find out more about why he believes this. And he seems like he's ready and willing to talk about it. So I hope we can get him back on. I really do. Because that's when we were just starting to cook there with hot grease. I was excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to put him too much into the hot seat. But, I mean, the Communist Party is a direct result for hundreds of millions of deaths, especially during the World War II.
Do you think they pulled the plug?
I wonder how. Yeah, they might have. That's right. I haven't seen you think they pulled the plug. That's good, Evan.
The feed.
They said. What? How do you say no in Russian? Neat. Neat. I learned that the other day.
NYET.
Yeah.
His
You know
video.
so much Russian there, Evan.
Duh.
How's the chat reacting? What are they saying? Anything?
You know, commie this, commie that for the most part when it goes.
They're not happy.
They want to know why he's on.
Yeah.
They do.
Is he fighting for us, or what's the deal?
Sure.
Like,
No, I mean, and like I
find out.
said, we're going to be switching it up. We're going to be doing interviews with prominent combat sporting historians, current fighters, previous fighters, get their background on controversial topics. I think it's extremely controversial right now. You know, an American who now identifies or is a communist living in Russia. How? Why?
Yeah.
What drove you to go down that road? And from what I heard right now, I can't hear a reason why. It sounds like that everything was going well in America. American top team was taking care of him. He had some injuries, and they were supportive. They were behind him. Again, extremely smart, intelligent person,
But
decorated background, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
that's all well and good. But I mean, in Russia, we've noticed, especially with BKFC, they love fighting. They love the fighters. Do you think maybe he was treated differently in Russia? Like he was a legend here, but as he went over there, maybe he became like a god in Russia. Maybe he liked that. I don't know. Maybe we're going to find this stuff out.
Yep.
But I also wonder with him that, I mean, again, this guy he's smart. He's very smart. So he's a psychologist. He's had a great fighting career. I mean, you put it in the notes here. You said it, arguably one of the greatest heavyweights fighters of all time.
He fought Fedor Emelianenko.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like sharing the ring with a legend like that? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. Not that many people can say that they shared the ring with one of the best, arguably the best heavyweight fighter of all time.
I think though that we have. It's going to be fun because one of the things we typically do on this show is we talk to our fighters, which we're going to continue to do, and we promote fights, which we will continue to do. But I think it's fun to step back once in a while and actually learn somebody's story. It makes you invest in them more. I didn't know all this stuff about him. I only knew a little bit about him. So it's exciting, and we're going to try to get him back on the phone. But for now, you know what happens when we have technical difficulties. You're going to watch this.
That was for the hairband. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship brings the world's most exciting combat sport to Montana. Live Saturday, October 9th, it's BKFC Fight Night. In the main event, combat sports legend Joe Riggs collides with the always dangerous Melvin Gillard. Plus, watch other bare knuckle fights featuring Taylor Starling, Christine Faria, Tom Schoaf, and many more. It's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, Saturday, October 9th. Available on the Bare Knuckle TV app. Download it now at bkfc.com.
Tiger Life is not about race or religion, black or white, young or old, male or female. It's not about where you live or where you're from. It's about finding your why in life. Tiger Life is a way of life. It's a purpose, a light, the future. We all have a story to tell, so let's tell it. It's time to be heard. Just remember, we may not be able to rewrite our story, but we sure as hell can change the ending. Tiger Life. Energy never tasted so good. Tiger Life is not about race.
So as we're waiting for our friend to come back on again, Rob and I were talking during the commercial. And by the way, just so they know, because it kind of came out of nowhere, I kicked somebody in the face when I started the commercial.
What's that?
that was college radio. While college radio was fun, his name was Ryan. Here's how long ago it was.
Good
Rob.
luck trying to do that in today's college radio,
dude,
man.
If there even is college radio anymore. But here's how long ago that was. Now think about this, and you can all relate because we're probably close to the same age. Digital cameras are newer at that time. You could film like 15 seconds of something, and they were really expensive.
Yeah.
And this guy had it for like a day from his brother or father. So we're taking all these videos. But yeah, that was when digital cameras were like brand new with the video. We thought it was the coolest thing ever.
2 megapixels.
You saw it. It was like, and the best part was in college radio, I used to play vinyl, and I would play, like I was one of the only ones. I played a lot of hair bands. So
Okay.
that was the story. That was a promo for the show. He held it up through the Quiet Riot record. This is for the hair bands. I super kicked his jaw off. Shawn Michaels, eat your heart out. All right. We have our friend back on the phone, I believe. You want to get back to him?
I'm back. Awesome.
Oh, there he is. I thought you left us.
Sorry. So that's another thing about Russia. Russia's so we're on a power grid, and so I wasn't charging my phone. It just died on me. But in Russia, there's just 2 days ago the heat started. Like there's such if you live in an apartment, you get like central heating for everybody. You can't turn on your heat when you want to. It's just like they turn on heat in the building, and that just started like 2 days ago. And in the summer, there's like a 3-week period where there's no hot water. And they do this to save energy. So Yeah, if you everybody gets the same bill for heat and whatever, because it's like you can't turn it on when you want.
Does that bother you a little bit? I mean, I feel like maybe because I'm used to being an American, but I feel like if I couldn't do something like that, and I'm sure there's other things like that because Russia's a different culture than us.
Yeah.
Was that taking some getting used to? You're okay with that? That would be nuts.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, you gotta get a. We have a space. Everybody's got a like space heater, and and it gets a pain. Just the cold showers in the summer are a little pain. So honestly,
I never like cold showers.
Anyway,
shrinkage.
I was saying, so I fought in the UFC, lost to Tim Sylvia, and then after I got the opportunity to fight Fedor Emelianenko, which was like my dream to fight this guy, because he's the greatest of all time. He everybody now say, oh man, this guy hasn't lost in 2 years, 3 years. I mean, this guy went 11 years without losing. 11 years. And he fought the Pride when Pride was better than UFC back then.
Oh yeah,
he was fighting all the best guys, beating all the best guys, and not even a close match. He never had like a split decision win. He was killing everybody. So it was like a dream come true to fight this guy. I thought I was going to win because he come in like kind of throwing punches. I thought, man, I'm going to take this guy down, and because he got taken down by Coleman, by a couple other guys, and they didn't know what to do on top. Even saw him, like 3 or 4 fights. So I scouted him, he got taken down. But the guy, and then he ended up armbarring or something like that. But I go, if I take him down, I'm going to sub him. And but he just played a smart game, and just made it a stand-up fight. I think he knocked me down like 4 times in the fight, and he just never got on top of me. He just like stand up. And so just beat the hell out of me. And but after that, like from a loss, everything happened. Like everything good that could have possibly happened from a loss happened. Like afterwards, he came in the locker room, take a photo with me, said good job, and they took a photo. Like the journalists took that photo. That photo ended up like on the front page of like the Moscow Times, and so everybody's like, well, this is our hero. He's our god. And if he likes Jeff Monson, I guess we like Jeff Monson, like kind of like that. And then I was on like Dancing with the Stars here, like all their major programs.
You were on Dancing with the Stars in Russia?
Yeah. I was on Dancing with the Stars in Russia.
How long did you last?
I did 3 episodes, which was pretty good because I cut 2 per episode. So I was like halfway through. But I tell you what, it was, like as an adult, it was the best. Other than my children, it's the best, most fun I've ever had in my life. But like by far, I was with a beautiful woman, Masha. She's a professional dancer, and like she had so much patience with me. But like everyone was so cool, and but it was work, man. We trained like 6 hours a day, 6 hours a day, like dancing. And I'm a terrible dancer, but they did that. They made like dances that were good for me, and but we lasted 3 episodes, and it was like the best experience I ever had, like as an adult. Like so fun, like everybody's so supportive, and it was like great.
That's awesome. Yeah, they say that. They say it's very rigorous training for dancing. I had a friend that was on there, and the Miz is actually on there now, a friend of mine. He's also saying that it's kind of rough training. Before we move on to the next question, I'd like you to do a little Watusi or something. Show me a move. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man, do something.
The only thing I did good was I could lift her up good. That's all I could do.
That's awesome,
I lift. Everything else is like terrible.
Well, you lasted 3 shows. You did something right. And I mean, you cleaned up very nicely. We just showed a picture of what it looked like, and good for you. Dancing with the Stars in Russia. That's something new. I didn't realize. That wasn't in my research. Very exciting, Rob.
Yeah.
But so you were loving life in Russia. It sounds like they seem to love you there. And I know where Rob was going with this. If you'd like to, talk about it further, Rob, is that the reason they embraced you in Russia? Is that the reason you wanted to go there?
How did the transition truly occur from being an American citizen to adopting a Russian way of life and getting, I guess, how do you explain that to your wife and children that we're leaving America, we're leaving basically everything you've ever known, and we're making that transition to another country? And it's just it's mind-boggling to a lot of people.
It's funny you say that. So it didn't go well with the wife, and so there's no longer that.
There's no longer a wife, you're saying?
I said there, yeah, it didn't go like my success in Russia didn't go well for the family in USA. So that ended, and there was more to it than that, but that was kind of the final straw. But you know, I just loved, you know, I mean, for example, like this is my the epitome of it. Like I did a fight in a place called Penza. And so I went there. I had to be there like 3 weeks before the fight for training. And the guy that did the show he, you know, I didn't really know a lot about Russia at this time, but he used me. He was like bringing me to tattoo parlors and the mall and this, and like getting people to pay him to bring me. And I didn't know about it. I found out later, you know, and this and that. And so I was just being run ragged for 3 weeks. I didn't know any better. And then I did the fight, I won. But during this time, they did an interview with me. And one of the interviews are like, "Oh, do you like Penza? Do you like Russia?" And I did. The people were so nice. I go, "Yeah, I like, you know, Penza, Russia, but I want to be in America right now because my mom has cancer. She's in Seattle. She's really sick, and I'm thinking about her. I wish I was in Seattle." And so I fought. I did the fight, and then I had one free day before I went back to America. And I was walking on the street with this translator. And this guy, it's like, he must have been 70 or plus. He like kind of waved me, Jeff, and flagged me down. And then he stopped me. And so we're talking with the translator. And he said, "Jeff, I saw your interview last week. And I was coming on the last couple of days. I was coming to the hotel, but they wouldn't tell me your room number. And like, you don't understand this right now, but you will later." It goes, "I love you. I love your mom, and Russia loves you, and Russia loves your mom." And he was like a carpenter. He had made this like religious icon with Mary and Jesus and stuff. And he gave it to me, and he said, "Give this to your mom with Russia from love." It was like, man, I just cried. It was like really emotional. But that, to me, that was Russia. You know what I mean? The people really give us not everything was what I expected from Russia, like seeing the Red Square, seeing all the sites I'd seen on TV, seeing all this stuff. But the people were much different. You know, in America, the thing is like hard ass, stoic, not smiling. But really, they're really quite giving. And not just because it's me, but just in people in general. They just, you know, like if they meet you and they get along with you on the subway or something like that, it's not a surprise to be invited to their house next Saturday for a barbecue. Wow. You know what I mean? In USA, you don't get that like that quickly. You know what I mean? But in Russia, it's like normal. And then after the barbecue, you bring some food and you share, and then all of a sudden you're like good friends. Your family, not just, I mean, you're introducing them to your wife and your kids and everybody else. So it's like family. You know, it's like they put a big emphasis on family here, and it's, you know, I like this.
Sure, and I'm not going to lie. I live on the East Coast. The East Coast is rough. And when I say like East Coast, from New York City straight down to Florida, and I've traveled across the country, and there are different parts of America that are more welcoming, more out west. Big shout out to Texas. They're a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more hospitable. That's what I'm looking for. A little bit nicer. With your move to Russia, or let me start with this. Would you consider yourself an anti-American? So I'm seeing it in the chat right now. Would you consider yourself an anti-American, pro-Russian? Because it sounds like you still have some love for America, but you've adopted their, you know,
Russian way of life.
Russian way of life. How would you identify yourself? Or if someone asked you, who are you? Yeah,
I don't. You know, I'm not a big. I think when you say I'm patriotic, I think that takes away. You know what I mean? Being supporting your country is different than being like it seems like when people say I'm patriotic, you're supporting everything. Like I'm a patriot. I support USA and stuff. And to me, that sounds like you're in, that's kind of supporting a lot of what USA does. And I like, as far as the USA on the international scene, yeah, I'm very much anti-American. I don't like us having 900 bases in 150 different countries and what were like USA putting sanctions on Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, Lebanon, all these different countries. I don't like this at all. but like being an American, like living in America, having American friends. My team, American Top Team, is American Top Team. My family, my friends live in America, most of them. So I'm not anti-American. I'm not. I don't think the government and some of the actions that they do necessarily represent the will of like all Americans. So in that way, and in the same way with Russia. Russia is definitely not imperialistic, even though it's made out to be that way in the West. But I believe I don't support everything Russia does just because I love Russia. Doesn't mean I'm gonna. They do this. I'm not gonna like. Oh, that's okay because it's Russia and I'm Russian. No, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. So I think take each particular case or action by itself.
So another thing that I read in my research about you, and I don't know the exact terminology, but Russia really does love you. The CCP, they somehow appointed you to some kind of is an outreach position. Is this true?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I this is before I knew it was. When I came here, I was really enamored. People loved me. The Communist Party of Russia. I met Zyuganov, who's the head of the Russian party, like several times. I had dinner with him and his family, and all this stuff in March. On the birthday of Lenin, and went to his tomb and laid flowers down with Zyuganov and on a big parade and stuff. So, and I said, I was doing all this stuff, having luncheons with all these bigwigs and businessmen and stuff, and they just said, we want you to. They gave me this position as kind of an outreach person for the Communist Party. And I was glad. I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. It's like my dream. But what I wanted from them was I wanted them to open all these schools up for free for kids. And I would teach at these schools for free. And I would, say, hey, look, the Communist Party in this city, open this. And then all they would have to do is supply the mats. There's already gyms, supply the mats and hire a teacher. So, obviously I can't be at all these schools in different cities all at one time, but I would go, every week to a different place and do this. And I said, I'll do this. I'll support it. Because every time I had big crowds, a lot of kids, loved it, all this kind of stuff. So this is good for you. This is good for me. It's good. And especially it's good for the kids. And they promised and promised for 2 years. They promised and promised. And finally I went to this luncheon, it was like a cheese and wine dinner with all these photographs of Che and like Fidel Castro and all these like history of the Communist Party and stuff. And, I brought it up again. I said, okay, this is great, but let's do this. And they're like, yeah. So we're supposed to meet again the next week to make all this concrete plans. And they like blew it off and we didn't meet. So, it was bad timing for them because I had an interview on Channel 1, which is their biggest channel, like on like national, like it's like NBC, CBS, ABC all together, and it's a Channel 1. And I had a TV interview on this channel like the following day. And I was pissed off. And I just said, you know what? F these guys, this Communist Party, like, they're not, there's no communists in the Communist Party. And so I have no affiliation with them at all. And so screw them. And it was right before the election and they just took a big hit. So, so they haven't talked to me since. Because it's true, man. They I wanted to do all this communist stuff and they were not supportive at all. So,
Well, that's interesting because like I said, I mean, I was listening to your story there and I'm thinking with my American beliefs, if this is happening, same thing, I would be like, well, number one, I'd be a little nervous to even talk to them thinking they might, again, my American beliefs use me to kind of further what they want and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So it's smart that you're able to see that. And I feel like
I knew they were using me, but I was like, well, I'm going to get what I want out of this is them to do something for kids. And so I'll let them use me. I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. I know what's going on. And as long as they fulfill their end, I'm okay with it, but they didn't. So.
Well, that's good that you were able to kind of cleave that off then. The last thing I want to talk about really quick before we wrap up with you is when we were talking, I see on your little icon there, you're with a bear. Do you wrestle bears? I mean, it looks like you're like hugging a bear. I would never hug. You do a lot that I would never probably go to Russia. I would probably never hug a bear. I would never fight. We know that. I'd be killed. But I wouldn't get tattoos because I'm a big wimp too. You've done a lot of these things. What's up with the bear? Are you wrestling bears now?
I got to like like that's like big here. So it was all my bear. I don't know. I think I'm the bear whisperer or something like that. But I know a couple of people from the big Moscow circus, and so when bear cubs are found by people or by loggers and their moms have been either shot by poachers or like killed or something like that, they'll bring them in. It's not so often they get some baby bears found, but if they're brought in, it's like if they leave them out in the wilderness, they're going to die. If they bring them to a zoo, they're going to be behind a cage and miserable. So it's it's the best bet. So they get human interaction, they get to be with other bears, all this stuff. So anyway, like I know them, so I get to play with them when they're little, and then as they grow up, I get to be with them so they know me. So like when they get older, I'm one of the few people that, and they're trainers, of course, that gets like wrestle around with them. So yeah, I love it. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do.
That's crazy. If I'm a bear, I'm running away from Jeff Monson. I know I don't have a chance. I'm out of there. I'm gone. No chance at all. The bear's probably taken off. But it seems like you have a great relationship with them. And again, that was the last thing I want to touch on. But we have one more thing I was just told before we get out of here. You've wrestled bears. You've fought everybody in the world. But now you have a major announcement that you want to make here on the BKFC show. We're very excited about this announcement. I'm going to let you make the announcement, Jeff.
Appreciate that. So, yeah, I've fought everyone in the world, like every major organization pretty much. And had a few injuries the last few years. And this is the healthiest I've been in a long time. So, I want to say I want to say thank you guys because I'm going to make my debut in bare knuckle boxing from you guys, the bare knuckle fighting championships, and so I'm excited to go. I've been wanting this for a long time. It's like a new challenge. It's something that some people said you can't do, which makes me want to do it all the more. So I'm very excited. My good friend and my teammate Thiago Alves won with the middleweight championship. So and he'd been off for a while, and so I'm hoping to follow his lead.
Well, Jeff Monson officially signed here at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. We're going to see what you can do with bare knuckles. We know we're pretty big in Russia, so we know you've been studying up on us.
We're very big in Russia. It's very popular here.
That's huge.
Probably more popular than anywhere else. It's very popular here.
Yeah, that's what we hear. So that's exciting. I said last week, I feel like, David Hasselhoff in America, he's kind of David, but then he goes to Germany, he's the biggest. He's like Michael Jackson or Elvis.
And I don't think any official fights have been signed yet, but I'll put it out there. I think your first fight, I think the crowd would go crazy over it, especially considering the background is you versus Sam Shoemaker, the All-American versus now the Russian. I don't think it would get any more exciting than that. But no, we appreciate you hopping on this interview. I'm not sure who you're going to be fighting next, but we definitely look forward to that.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me, guys.
Hey, what time is it in Russia?
We are 9 hours ahead of you. So I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? Like 10?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you stayed up late with us. All right. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on. Go get ready to have your midnight snack in a little while and then go to bed.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, guys.
Well, there it is, man. There he is, officially signed. You heard the announcement, Jeff Monson. He's done a lot in fighting. I know the people in the chat were yelling, "Commie, communist, kill a commie," all this stuff. So if you don't like his views, you can watch him get punched in the face. You should really like that. And if you do like him and you want to see a good fight, I'm not going to take that away from the guy. I mean, we might not agree, but he's a guy that has a decorated fight career. So I'm excited to see what he can do at BKFC.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with his political background, and I certainly do not by any stretch of the imagination, nor support it. I'm American. I think the capitalist is the best in the world as we have it. It could be changed, it could be tweaked, it could be fixed. There's certainly things we can improve upon, but that's not to say that you have to hate someone or dislike someone based off of those. Doesn't always have to be black and white.
No,
but
shades of gray.
It's going to make a great fight nonetheless.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped.
Absolutely, man.
That's awesome.
And I like hearing people's backgrounds and trying to figure out how they got to the position where they're at and why. Like, why leave America? And if I were to leave America, you know, where would I go?
Well, not even
I'd
just
probably
leave
go to
America.
Italy because
Hold
of the
on.
food.
Yeah, right.
I don't care about bears, and I don't care about political backgrounds and all that shit. I care about nice wine, nice food.
Wine, yeah, nice wine makes everything better. Food's great too.
Absolutely.
But I think it's not just that he went to Russia, became a citizen, and started working with them a little bit. I think it's also the fact that he said he lost a wife over this. I mean, the guy is sticking to his beliefs and going there. He lost his relationship, it sounds like, over this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he must really believe in what he believes in. So more power to him. We like getting different views on the show and stuff like that. So it was great to have him on, and we'll be doing more stuff like that in the future. But I can't wait to watch him fight. I was told by one of our producers I plugged the app too much, even though I'm told to do that. Bkfc.com. You can check out the app when Jeff fights for us. But we're going to get back to some more fun in just a minute. Look, they put it up down there too.
Oh, shit!
Right after this, we'll talk to you again. We got some more stuff coming up for you.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship brings the world's most exciting combat sport to Montana. Available on the Bare Knuckle TV app. Download it now at bkfc.com.
My gentlemen, to the line! Buckle up! It's time to knuckle up! And the big shot for now, he goes down. Bronco lands and the counter shot. Down goes Stevenson. The right hand, and down goes Julian Wade. Game, set, match. It's the half block. That's it. He's out. Velasquez down again. Just like that, he is finished. The win for Down to win. Buckle up.
I'm still here waiting for him to go to commercial. Did he go to commercial yet?
Hey, we live, baby. Yeah.
We're back. Oh, he went to commercial. I was waiting. I didn't know. So thank you for that. We're back. Great interview there. And we just announced, if you missed it, Jeff Monson has signed with BKFC. He's in Russia right now. He'll be fighting Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Excited to see what he's going to do. But there's a lot of stuff going on in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And one of the biggest things going on right now that I can see on Instagram, on the gram, is the fact that Hector Lombard put
Dramas.
he's put out a video. He put out a video, and I believe we have the video, if they're ready, in the satellite production truck. We can roll the video of Hector and what he had to say.
Listen. No one wants to fight me. Okay? Now, I want to ask you a question. Who should I fight next? Talk to me. Tell me. Listen.
So essentially, he's asking the fans who he should be fighting.
Drop it in the chat. Let us know who's his next opponent.
Let us know who's next opponent. I know who I want to see him fight. I bet you I could speak for Rob here too. But I found it interesting when I went through the comments, because even though I don't always comment, I'm always reading, I'm always lurking, I'm always looking what's happening. And I saw that a lot of people are stepping up. A lot of people saying Tyrone Woodley, but that fight, a lot of people don't want to see that. Some do, some don't. It's just a matter of opinion. I saw Quentin Henry was jumping. The hero's like, what do you mean? I'll fight you. Let's go. So Quentin Henry, the hero, you talk about an American, he was up for it too. As Rob puts his American hat on over his
keeps
headphones.
falling down off of the globe. The only place.
After we interviewed a guy that supports communism, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's falling off the globe, the American flag. We don't want that. Keep it up there. Hold it up.
USA, man.
Also, Hector talking about, he actually didn't really say anybody, but then everybody starts hitting the chat. The juggernaut, Lorenzo Hunt. Why are you running from Lorenzo Hunt? I'm seeing a lot of that. That's the fight I want to see.
Lorenzo came to his house, man. He called him out at his house.
He came to the Boxer Studios, man.
Yeah, he called him out at his house.
Lorenzo's been very vocal. I saw Lorenzo with a chicken sometime, saying it was Hector. He's been to a lot. I mean, we saw him jump in the squared circle. Do we have any of that? I don't know if we do. I'm sorry for that. Why don't we go back to that, just in case you forgot what happened with Hector and Lorenzo? This is why a lot of people want to see this fight.
Brian Sosha.
Hector, Lorenzo Hunt in the ring. Oh, Jesus!
The infamous.
And Joe Riggs breaking up the fight right now. Two good shots landed by Hector Lombard.
Now, I was obviously, oh, Jesus, I was closer to that than anyone. And I'm going to tell you that is very real. This isn't fight promotion. I know you can see that, but I have never been. I was in between Luis Palomino and Jim Allers when the headbutt happened. That was my first gig with BKFC, and that was pretty intense. Shannon Briggs was there, but this was the most intense thing I've ever been involved in. My feet moved quickly. Lorenzo wants that title, and these guys don't seem to like each other at all. You can actually see they're probably going to, yeah, look at me. Now watch. If you look closely at my foot, I'm trying to get out of the ring. They're like, and the director's screaming at me, stay in the ring. I'm like, I don't want to stay in the ring. I'm get the hell out of here.
There goes Brian.
I got scared. Like, oh, shit. I love it. So it was very...
What did Joe Riggs say to you, bro?
Oh, what did Joe Riggs say to me? So I was speaking to Joe yesterday about this, actually. Joe Riggs, if you go back and watch that, Joe said, he goes... Where are you going? Why are you running? He's not going to hit you. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get paid, man, and do my job. I don't want to catch any wayward punches. You guys would kill me. And I didn't speak to Joe after that because I was pretty cool with Joe. Joe was really nice when I promoted the fight with him. I'm like, oh, this guy wants to kill me. And I talked to Joe yesterday doing an interview, and we addressed that. Joe actually said, oh, bro, I like you, bro. I'm sorry. You know, tensions were running high, but I wanted to let you know he wasn't going to hit you. Joe was super cool about it, but he actually apologized. I'm like, no need to apologize. Yeah. I'm getting the hell out of the way. But Joe even said that when we interviewed him. Joe was saying that he didn't even go to grab him right away. He wanted to see what his corner would do because Joe had some kind of issue, if you remember, where he got in trouble, got fined a bunch of money, getting in a fight in the hospital with somebody. Yeah. And so he said he was very, very nervous with, getting involved because
apprehensive.
I was with the one and only Nick Diaz.
That's right. We were just talking. Yeah. So he had all these problems with that. And he was apprehensive, but it didn't seem apprehensive to me. He got involved. He pulled him back. But the whole point is I've been involved in a couple of these things where I'm in the middle because I'm always trying to get the story for you. And this was the most intense. That's a fight that I want to see. Rob, I'm going to speak for you. You probably want to see it too.
I do. I absolutely do. I mean, there's no love lost there.
No.
We got to make that fight.
Again, he shows up at his gym calling him out, and it was all jovial for the first 2 seconds. And then they're like, you know what, this is, nah. And then... Look, man, Hector Lombard is about as real as it gets. He is real in everything he says, everything he does. He got into his face after the fight.
Doesn't happen, Hector.
Yeah.
It sells itself. That, to me, is our version of the McGregor-Khabib bus incident.
Well,
it's real. It's so real.
Yeah. I want to see – I'd like to see how, the Montana fight comes about. Of course, Joe Riggs versus Melvin Gillard, because I want to see that rematch. I had Joe Riggs, winning that fight. And, again, all of his fights, he looked so good. His footwork was so smooth, and he was landing the shots.
Well, I want you to think about this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but when I was speaking to Joe yesterday, I didn't know this. Before he took that fight, I knew he hadn't fought in a while. I knew he had some knee problems and stuff, but I didn't know. He told me he was, and if Evan or Brandon, you were on the interview too, I think he said he was 220 or 230 before that fight. He was out of shape, and he got himself down, but he was fighting up. He's usually like where he's going to be now, 185. So you'll see a different Joe Riggs. When I was interviewing him yesterday, you could see he's just slimmed down. He's all upset because he said he has high cheekbones and a weird jaw structure, so his face gets
he looks very
sucked in like Skeletor.
Rolling in there. Yep.
Yeah, so he said he doesn't like that part of it, but he's excited to be back at his regular weight. So I'm looking forward to see. He was that impressive when he was fighting up weights. That doesn't always happen, carrying that extra weight. So let's see what he can do now. I mean, I'm pumped up to see Joe Riggs because I think he's gonna. When he came in against Hector, you have deep respect for him. But if you looked at what a lot of the fans were saying, not all of them, but a lot of them, they thought Hector, would win that. They thought that that's the way it was going to go, and it was controversial.
One-sided.
Yeah, but it was not at all. And Riggs said it himself. He would have slept him if it would have kept going. I tend to agree. Although, Hector, if you ask me, I'm not going to agree with that. I'm going to say, no, I think you're the man.
But I look forward to that fight, and whoever Hector fights next is going to be exciting.
But what is Hector doing?
It just makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world.
What is he doing, though? Let's be honest. Like, he's putting that out. Do you think to get the reaction? He's got to figure out that people are going to say Lorenzo Hunt after everything that happened. So you think he's just kind of trying to market that fight? But I don't think it's marketing for him. I think he does not like Lorenzo Hunt. I think they don't like each other.
I don't think so either.
So, I mean, what do you think people are going to say, though? I mean, it's to the point now when you're calling people out and you have a guy that's been yelling for months on Instagram, but from what I could see, it looks like he was blocked on Hector's Instagram, Lorenzo Hunt. So maybe he doesn't know how much Lorenzo's been yelling about it. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited either way. Great video by Hector when I saw it the other day. I wish I could do your accent, Hector. It's quite awesome. I have a stupid Philadelphia accent. You have a really cool one. So, I mean, that's where I'm looking. What are they saying in the chat? They're probably all saying Hunt, right?
They're saying Hunt.
Yeah, that's a fight that needs to be made. That's where we need to go.
Hunt. I'm saying Hunt.
I'm saying Hunt, too.
You're saying Hunt.
Yeah, so it's got to be Hunt.
So whoever's listening out there that David Feldman, Nate Shook, try to get it done.
Please.
Hook the fans up.
Hook us up. We are the fans, too, right? So, I mean, I think we've covered a lot today. I don't think there's much more to get into. Do you want to just talk about what's coming up? I mean, we're right on the horizon here. BKFC Montana. Our debut in Montana is October 9th, excuse me. And, of course, you've seen Riggs Gillard on top. There's so many other good fights as well. We'll go through the schedule in a second.
Yeah, Wichita was just announced. Tickets are on sale now.
Yeah, get on that.
They are live.
Am I allowed to do that, producers? BKFC.com. Can I say that as a plug?
Yeah, make sure you talk about Game Bread as well. That's tomorrow night.
Game Bread is coming live on the app tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss that.
I'll tell you.
Ungloved mixed martial arts.
That's gonna be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that. But I'll tell you, I want to rewind for a minute. I want to go back to the Montana card really quick. I hate to go backwards. I don't like doing that, but we have to. So Tom Schoaf, excellent video, if you missed it, put out on our Instagram about Tom Schoaf. It was done by our content department. I believe the Lord Evan Zentar did that. We interviewed him, chopped it up, put it up. Great footage, great hype video for Tom Schoaf. But he's fighting a debuter named Josh Wright. Now, I didn't know much about Josh Wright, but kudos to Mission Accomplished podcast because you guys had him on last night. And I sat there and I watched the whole thing. What a personality on this guy. He reminds me of Bam Bam Bigelow. He's got his head tattooed, if you know who Bam Bam Bigelow is. But just a guy that was captivating to listen to, very humble, and is very excited to be here. Now, I actually made some notes. This is from Mission Accomplished. I mean, great interview with him, guys. Because if you don't know Josh Wright, I want to get you more excited about the fight because you're seeing on social media, oh, Tom Schoaf's fighting a debuter. Now, he might be fighting a debuter, but just a couple notes here I made on Josh Watson. Let's see. First, I mean, I couldn't do this. He's benching 500 pounds last year. He's got to be a strong guy.
What? How much is it? 155?
Yeah, I guess.
155, and he's benching how much?
500 pounds, he said.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't see it. This is what he said.
What are they feeding him over there?
I don't know. Apparently, he helped Frank Mir get in shape by sparring with him for a Triller.
Really?
So there you go. He's in there with a heavy-handed guy. He works his tail off. Aside from fighting, he's got a real job. He works over 45 hours a week every day, trains and everything. So you got to respect that. Working man.
Absolutely.
And he has all these tats. And I love on his knuckles. It says, "Stay down." That's one of the best tattoos for a bare knuckle fighter, right? And here's my favorite. And you can all make fun of me in the chat, and I don't care because if you don't agree, I don't agree with you. He said it. I'm going to say it, and I'm curious of your stance on this. The man loves pumpkin spice. He loves it. I do too.
It's that time of year.
And he was excited about it. Pumpkin spice is a wonderful thing. Do you like pumpkin spice?
Hell no, man.
Are you out of your mind, dude? Coffee, a little coffee in there?
Nah.
You like what you like. It's a flavor. It tastes good. I agree. Evan, you're not. I bet you Evan's not a pumpkin spice guy. He's going to make fun of me.
I love it.
Do you really?
Say, yes,
This is my favorite time of year. I go to Wawa. You get the PSL, little pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's a lot of sugar though. You'll be a little fired up after it.
Wow, I could use to be fired up. Sometimes I'm kind of tired, as you can tell in these broadcasts. I drink the Tiger Life. They should make pineapple spice Tiger Life. I would, I would crush that. But I love that he did all that. It was a nice little thing. I didn't know a lot about him. So, Josh Wright, we're looking forward to see you fight. And mission accomplished. Great work there. We appreciate you.
And we said it. If anybody beats Tom Schoaf on their debut, they are about as real as it gets. Because that guy is solid as a rock, man. So that's going to be an exciting fight.
He looked, from what I could see, this debut for 155, he looked way bigger than 155 to me, though. I don't know. This is what I saw.
That's going to give Tom trouble then, man. He's been having trouble with people in higher weight classes. He's held his own.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but the bigger guys give him the problems.
He did look bigger. And now I should say that this is the fight that I'm assuming Tom Schoaf. I've put all the pieces together. I saw it on the board out there, and I also know that he's debuting for us. So if I'm wrong, I'll do another retraction like I did this week for Chris Sorrow. That's what I do. And I'll probably get beat up like Arnold Adams almost beat me up. So that's it for today. I mean, we're very excited. Is the card up on BKFC.com, or where can they see the whole card? We don't have the whole thing
Check it all out
yet.
at BKFC.com.
Okay.
Link to that. And you can go on, make sure you download the app. You can watch all of our previous fights, all the exclusive content, and all the live events for only $4.99 a month.
What a sell job. You're like that dude. What was his name? The guy used to be on the infomercials that died. That was like a sell job. I loved it.
I don't know. I should be that guy.
Billy Mays?
Yeah, Billy Mays.
Yeah, Billy, there's Don
he's
West.
dead? He died?
Didn't Billy Mays die?
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah, he died.
I thought I had a good beard. That guy puts me to shame, dude.
I
That
could be
thing
the
was
new Billy
he had the
Mays,
slick
dude.
back.
Yeah, you guys are like twin brothers. Anyway, that's enough for today. Before they start playing us out, we get on a Billy Mays kick. I can talk about him for hours. He's a genius. I'm going to thank everybody. Thank the producers. Thank you for hanging out. You guys too, and most of all, my podcast host, my show host, I should say. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Jeff Monson, for coming on. If you missed it, Jeff Monson officially signed. We're excited to see what he's going to do, and we're excited for you to check out bkfc.com. As I say, until next week, put the Tiger Life up, baby. Get amped up and knuckle up.
Like, comment, subscribe.